Parents and welcome parents and guardians tonight for registration. I'm Todd Goglai. I am the assistant principal for grades 10 and 12. So I actually have the outgoing seniors this year, the class of 22, and I will have the class of 24. I noticed a couple other staff members that are on the call on the meet. So I would like them to introduce themselves, and first starting with Heidi.
Hi everyone, I'm Heidi Cosgrove. I am currently the 12th grade counselor, the class of 22, and work closely with Mr. Goglai on our fabulous seniors.
Sonia, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, 10th grade parents. I am actually the long-term sub for the remainder of the school year. I'm filling in for Miss King. And I just started a couple weeks ago, so I am learning under the grateful, watchful eye of Miss Cosgrove. And so I'm here tonight, but mostly observing to see what the process is like for parents tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, so we welcome Sonia. Again, she's taking over to the end of the semester, and so we appreciate her helping us with our 10th graders right now until the end of the year. So a little bit about registration, and hopefully I didn't miss any. I don't know. I don't think I saw any other staff members on here that I needed to introduce. So I'm going to go ahead. But yeah, you're here for registration, and it's one of the most important and exciting times because students get to choose their classes, and they've had a year this year underneath their belt, but now they're moving on to be in 11th grade and 2 years away from graduating. And but being able to choose your classes and making sure that you have the classes that you need to graduate is very important. So the planning, this time, the planning, the future for them as they design their own classes, for choices. Some of the things that are important for registration and are the keys to registration are choosing classes wisely. Schedule changes will be limited, and so as they choose, like some of the things that I hear, and Heidi, you can jump in, but like if you're in band or music, there's a 0 hour, and that students can sign up for, but it has to get approved by our music department, Steve Schmitz, or if they do have a zero hour class. And so it's just very important that students choose their class and making sure that they're following the track they want to be on as they move towards graduation. Heidi, you want to add anything in there?
I'll be adding stuff in the presentation that will
Okay.
touch on that as well. I think that's
Okay.
a great start. Thank you.
All right, and so I'm just going to go right off my bullets here. The classes you choose will be determined, will offer and what is not. Students get to vote with their feet, so again, choosing the classes that they want to take is important because we actually use that data to support the classes that we are offering, and we use the classes that they choose to determine if we're going to eliminate classes. And so it's important, and there are a few changes in the new course catalog for this year, and so just be aware of that. So like with with schools budgets, we also talk, like if we have 10 kids registered, there's a good chance that class is not going to be offered. And so when kids do register, we're looking at the number of kids that are registering for a course. Let's see. And so, yeah, so for them to get their voice out, is making sure that they plan their schedule accordingly. And so that we know that we're offering rigorous courses, and that courses that students are interested in. And one of our new courses this year was our CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant program. And a lot of our students are interested in that course. But unfortunately, it's only limited to like 25 students for that course. And so there are other courses where numbers are set, and then there's most of our classes are set at 35 students in a classroom. And so, but there are special classes that are limited, even like our pottery, because we may not have enough wheels. And so that might be set at 26 students. And so we do use the data by how our students register for classes. Again, I want to make sure that you know that students, that whatever courses they register for graduation, they should be taking the courses that they need to graduate first, and then take what they want to explore or experience later. But it's important, and I think we went through this at the freshman orientation, what the course requirements for English, social studies, history, our social studies, the math department, and science, what courses are that they're going to need to graduate with. So that's important. So with that being said, it's an honor to work with your students and to support them in creating their future. And you know that our school, our district, at least our district itself, we're very rigorous, and there's a reason why we're ranked high in the state every year. And but we like to hear from parents. We like to hear from our students what courses, again, they're excited to take, what courses they may not be, what track are they going to be on, whether it's IB or honors. And so it's important. And then again, even the non-traditional way of going through school. So again, thank you all that you do to make St. Louis Park school district great. And that's all I have. So are you going to jump in now?
I will. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm going to be leading the presentation tonight for your student going into junior year. Like I said, I'm the 12th grade counselor, but I have been here for, I'm just going to say 20 plus years. I'm not even going to figure out that one. And Ms. Elias is the long-term sub for Ms. King, who's going to be out for the remainder of the year. And I know she's bummed, she's missing her students, but Ms. Elias is doing great. And with any questions that she has, there's myself, there's Ms. Nelson, who a lot of your students might have known last year, and Ms. Milne, and the three of us together, Ms. Milne, Ms. Nelson, and I have adding together well over 55 years of counseling experience, which is kind of crazy to think about. But we will absolutely do everything we can to support your students and help with any questions that might come about. So what I'm going to do, hopefully my tech brain will do this okay. So I am going to share my screen. Let's see if I can do that. All right, so I am just going to enter the full screen here. All right, so here we go. All right, so 11th grade registration. I know as a parent of a 7th grader, who's looking at 8th grade next year, to think that students are already thinking about junior year is kind of crazy and mind-blowing to think about, and it goes by fast. One thing I wanted to put, you'll kind of notice those little goofy QR codes in the corner of my screens, and that's a QR code to our St. Louis Park Schools registration page, where you're going to find a lot of this information, the course book, course descriptions, registration worksheets. So I have this little QR code throughout the presentation if you want to get to our registration page and look on any materials. So what we're gonna do is I kind of broke it into segments because for my brain to kind of work smoothly, I kind of have to break things out in terms of what we're going to be talking about. And this is going to be the actual presentation that your student sees in a couple, actually next week in their connections class. So we're going to go over 7 different segments tonight. That include talking about GPA, graduation requirements, specific course selections for English, social studies, electives, all that fun stuff. So that's how it's going to be broken out for tonight and also broken out for your students next week. So segment 1 is understanding GPA. And next we actually in 2 weeks when we're in their English classes, we are going to be giving your students their actual transcript that will show grades from 9th grade and then semester 1 of 10th grade. So they're going to be getting a copy of that to take a look to see how did they do in some of their English 9 classes, semester 1 and semester 2, and how do they do in first semester of 10th grade. So this is just a real basic example of what they're going to see with their transcript. They're going to see what class they took, they're going to see the letter grade, they're going to see how many credits they earned in that class. And then they're going to be able to see how that all compiles into their grade point average. And every class that a student takes here at St. Louis Park is worth 1 credit each semester. So if they take their English for the whole year, they earn 2 credits, 1 each semester. We're going to show them the breakdown of what a GPA looks like in terms of what that number is. So if your student has a 3.0 GPA, they will see that they're right around a B average. If they have a 1.8 GPA, they will see that they're right between a C- and a C. So that's something that we really want to help them understand about what the GPA means. And one thing that we'll also want to let them know is the letter grades are the grades that enter the GPA, the letter grade of A, B, C, or D. And if students take any letter grades of a P, which is a pass, they still get credit, but that does not impact their GPA. And a lot of times, especially even having seniors right now, they will ask the question, well, how does that look for colleges? They get really worried about that. And what we tell them is that the colleges will say they will assume the letter grade of a P is a C grade. That will be the automatic assumptions. There are a few colleges out there that will assume it's a D, but that's just one thing that we like to tell students just to understand, be aware of as they're taking a look at their grades on their transcript and moving forward. Where to find GPA in PowerSchool? One thing that's kind of tricky about PowerSchool is you can't really see this if you're on like your phone, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure why that happens. So you actually have to be on a laptop computer to kind of get this full effect of it. And it's actually in the grades and attendance segment of your PowerSchool that shows your cumulative GPA, which is all your letter grades you've had since 9th grade. And then it will also tell you how many credits you've earned on there as well. One thing we always tell students just to be mindful of and watch when they see their transcript is if they received a letter grade of an I or an I+, because what that means is something is still not done for that letter grade. The biggest one we see is the I+, which is an incomplete plus. And what that means is they probably forgot to return a book, or there was a fine on the book, or they have some equipment obligation that they still need to turn in to have that grade released. And they can check in the main student office to see what that might have been. So just something to always be mindful of is to be looking for those I+ and I's just in case. The big question I get is, especially as students move into junior and senior year, there's always the, what will my GPA be if I get blah, 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 something like that. And I'm the first one to say I'm not a mathematician to kind of really figure that out, but in the year 2022 and moving on, there's an app for everything. And there are many, many GPA calculators out there that students can kind of plug things in and check it out. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but they're pretty neat to do and to kind of take a look. And if students kind of want to predict and things like that, we often have a lot of upperclassmen that start to do that. So segment 2, what we're going to talk about are graduation requirements. So the magic number is 46 graduation credits. And again, each class equals 1 credit per semester. So to qualify for a St. Louis Park diploma, students need to earn a minimum of 46 semester credits. Now, those also need to be in specific areas that we'll talk about in a moment, but I do want to talk about an interesting fun fact about study halls, because especially as students get into junior and senior year, classes get harder. They just get more busy with activities or family or different responsibilities. And so sometimes it can be helpful for students to have study halls in their junior and senior year, even 1 or 2 per semester. So interesting little fun fact to think about. Number 1, if students never ever take a study hall in their high school career and they pass all their classes, they will earn 56 credits. That's 46 more than they actually need. I'm sorry, 10 more than they actually need. And the second fun fact is if students do take 1 study hall every semester of their high school career and pass all their classes, they still graduate with more credits than they need. They would actually graduate with 48 credits, 2 more than they need. So I just like to share that information just because I know that sometimes students get nervous about that idea. And as long as students are doing what they need to be doing and passing their classes and doing great, it works out just fine. So a lot of times students will ask, well, how many credits should I have right now as a second semester sophomore? And this is what they'll also see on their transcript, and you can also see in PowerSchool in terms of how many credits they have. So the first example, the blue, teal blue, on the left is if a student took 1 study hall every semester so far, they would have a total of 18 credits right now. And on the right hand side is if a student never ever took a study hall so far in their high school career, they took 7 classes each semester, they would have 21 credits. So perfection right now for credits is between 18 and 21. Now, if your student is below that 18, that does not mean that they're in danger of not graduating or anything like that. It just means they might have a little bit more work to do outside of school, or perhaps they're not able to take as many study halls in senior year. But we do have students that are below 18, and we also have students that are above 21 because, like Mr. Gogolai said, maybe they took a 0-hour class that earned additional credit. So within those 46 credits, they do need to be in specific areas. Students will always say, well, can I take, like 10 credits of gym and underwater basket weaving and everything like that? And it's like, nope, they got to be in specific areas. So those specific areas are listed on the left-hand side. And again, with 1 credit equaling 1 semester. For English, students need to take all 4 years of English, or 8 credits, the same with social studies. Math, they need to have 3 years of math, or 6 credits, the same with science. For Phy-Ed, they need to have their PE, typically from 9th grade. And then their health class, and 2 credits of art, their advisory, or it's also called connections, throughout high school. And then 13 electives. And we're going to talk much more in depth about this in just a moment. But again, if students are falling short of this, or maybe something didn't go well for them for a class, there is definitely opportunity for credit recovery. That could be going to summer school, that could be registering for the class again, or that could be going through our online Plato credit recovery. So one thing about this laundry list is my brain doesn't work really well with a laundry list of looking at things. So my next slide is going to be kind of a picture of what this looks like. And we're going to talk more in depth of that. So that laundry list is essentially this, spelled out more specifically, semester by semester, of what they need to do. So this is the full page of it. And I'm going to break it down by English. So this is what students will be able to see. This is what we do as counselors, making sure that they're meeting the correct requirements. So for instance, when your student gets their transcript, they'll be able to see, can I check off English 9 semester 1? Can I check off English 9 semester 2? English 10 semester 1, and right now I'm doing English 10 semester 2. So they'll be able to see how their classes are meeting their graduation requirements and what requirements they will have remaining as they head into senior year. And for social studies, they'll be able to see, okay, did I do my civics first semester of 9th grade and second semester of 9th grade? I'm currently in world history or AP world history or AP European history right now for semester 1. I'm doing that right now for semester 2. And then they'll see that next year they have US history options and then senior year. So this is kind of the breakdown of this laundry list, which I think students have said kind of that picture helps them put it into more of a, okay, this is what I need to do. And then for math, I mentioned that you need to have 3 years of math, and students typically will do like a geometry, advanced algebra, and then an other math, which could be intermediate algebra, pre-calc, AP stats, AP calc, anything like that. And we do have a huge number of students that do a 4th year of math in senior year. From a graduation perspective, we actually count that as an elective because students only need 3 years of math to graduate. So this is opportunity to earn an elective with their math class, and same with their science as well. Science, they need 3 years of math or 3 years of science, which is typically their science 9 that they did, or AP environmental science. Right now, they're doing their chemistry, and then next year they're going to do biology. With the chemistry, students need to do either a full year of chemistry or a full year of physics. And a number of our students get this done by completing their full year of chemistry this year. So that if they do take physics in senior year, it counts as a 4th year, which we slide that into the elective count. For math, this is where I want to kind of talk a little bit more in depth about math, because it does get a little tricky in terms of kind of understanding how that goes, because we'll have students that say, well, I already did geometry in middle school. How does that work? So there's actually 3 options of how students can fulfill their math graduation requirements. Option 1 is they do a year of geometry, a year of advanced algebra, and a year of pre-calc. Option 2 is they do a year of geometry, a year of intermediate algebra, and then a year of advanced algebra. And then the advanced option, option 3, is where we have students that did geometry in middle school, or maybe they even did advanced algebra in middle school. And essentially what they're doing are the next levels of math, which we consider the advanced option, where maybe they're doing, they've done maybe honors geometry, honors advanced algebra trig, they're heading into AP stats, AP calc, IB math. And so if students have already completed geometry in middle school, we absolutely recognize that that geometry is done. And then the final requirements are a semester of Phi Ed and a semester of health, and then 2 semesters of art. And we do have a link, and it's on the course, in the course book, of all the classes that are considered art. And then the advisory or connections classes that your students do every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday right now with their connections teacher. They do get a little quarter credit every year they do that, and that equals 1 credit for the year. And then the electives. This is where students tend to get a little nervous in terms of, well, what counts as an elective? And essentially, an elective is any class that does not fit into the above boxes that we just talked about. So that could be foreign language, because the high school does not have a foreign language requirement for graduation. However, we often recommend that students take 2 years of a foreign language if they're looking at a four-year college or university, but we do not have a foreign language requirement. But if students are taking that, that would be counted in their electives. Every year they're taking foreign language. That could be their music. Every year they're taking music. That fourth year of math, that fourth year of science. Any additional art or additional PE, those are all counted under electives. Students will often ask, well, can I put one of my classes in the art section and an elective section? And the answer is no, you can't double dip in there. Each class gets its own home in a box, so you can't put them in two different boxes. So that's how electives work. And this is often a really nice pathway. Students are often meeting more electives than 13 by the time they graduate. If you're kind of interested in the numbers breakdown in terms of where should my student be at the end of each semester, we also have that figured out in terms of kind of where we like students at a minimum, where we ideally like students. So when your student finishes 10th grade, we are ideally liking them to be between 24 and 28 credits. So that they're having that number heading into junior year. So if you like looking at the numbers, I thought this slide would be helpful. If you're coming from another school, we want to make sure that you feel like you're not forgotten about, because we do figure out how to convert those credits into our system. Whether you're coming from a trimester school, a block system, we will absolutely figure out how those credits transfer and make sure that you are getting the credits that you need from St. Louis Park from your other school. So I just want to make sure that if you're coming from another school, you are not forgotten about. We got you. Segment 3, PP&E. So this I just want to touch on before we actually get to the nuts and bolts of registration, to talk about PSEO, because a lot of our families and students are very interested in pursuing PSEO as a junior. And essentially that is taking college classes at the college. And it stands for post-secondary enrollment options. And a lot of times we have students that say, I want to sign up for PSEO. I want to sign up for a PSEO class. And students don't actually sign up. They actually have to apply to the college to get accepted by the college under the PSEO statute. Even if students are thinking they want to do PSEO, they still need to register for 11th grade, because decisions typically don't come out until April or May. So we want to make sure that your student is covered with classes at St. Louis Park, and then we will go back and adjust when they register at the college and we figure out classes, then we'll adjust their registration here. Play-Doh is, again, if students need to make up a class, if the class didn't go very well, or perhaps your student wasn't here in 9th grade to do civics, they can do that through our credit recovery system. And I know some 10th graders are a little eager to get that started if they do need to do that. And what we ask is that 10th graders, you get a really good start to second semester. And starting around March 1st, if you want to have that discussion with Ms. Elias to start 1 or 2 if you need to, we can absolutely have that discussion, but we want you to get a great start to semester 2. So going back to the PSEO sessions, we actually have PSEO sessions mapped out. And if your student is interested in learning more about PSEO and applying to PSEO, They do need to attend one of these sessions, and each session is about 50 minutes. So they'll be starting March 2nd after the registration process is done. And there's no sign up or anything like that. They're actually going to come to C153. We're pretty sure that's where it's going to be. We'll have the location confirmed up, but it's likely going to be there. And they'll hear about all the start to finishes of the whole PSEO process. And if they do need help filling out PSEO applications, we also have some times mapped out that if they just need help finding the applications, doing the applications, that we are here to help with that as well. Just real quick to understand how PSEO works. At St. Louis Park, your student is used to taking, I'm just going to say English 10 for the full year to get a full year's credit. They take English 10 for semester 1 and semester 2 to get their credit. At PSEO, their English, let's just say, their full year of English is done in one semester. And then perhaps their full year of social studies is done another semester. So just to kind of give you an idea of how different it can look, and just that it's more intense because you're doing a year's worth of curriculum essentially in 4 months through PSEO. And just a little breakdown, if you're interested, that students do need to be in good academic standing to apply to PSEO. For our incoming juniors, they should be in about the top third of their class, roughly about a 3.0 GPA going into junior year. And that is looking at the GPA right now that you see on PowerSchool, the GPA that they need. We have a lot of students that are very interested in applying to the U of M for PSEO, and their average admitted GPA is a 3.9. We absolutely encourage anybody with a 3.5, 3.6 to apply if they're interested in the U of M. The difference with the U of M is they only have so many spots to give. And you never know what the application pool is like. And so the last couple of years, their average GPA acceptance was about a 3.9. And they have a pretty demanding deadline of April 15th to get that done. Whoops, there we go. Ways to earn college credit. Our enrichment coordinator, Dr. Alyssa Case, is going to be having informational video posted, as well as information sessions. And she has her dates right there, February 16th, 17th, 22nd, and 23rd, and it's open to all. And that's where she is going to also continue to talk about PSEO, as well as IB diploma, to talk about what that looks like, what the requirements are of the IB diploma, what courses you need to take, and what a sample schedule can look like. So those are pieces that she's going to be going over at that time. And she's also going to talk about all the ways you can earn college credit. PSEO and IB are just 2 ways to earn college credit here at St. Louis Park. And this is right on the website. I made a little QR code here. But for instance, articulated college credit. These are the courses that we offer at St. Louis Park that do not have an AP designation, do not have an IB designation, but they offer articulated college credit with our area colleges that we just want to make sure that students, our families are aware of, that there are other ways to be getting that rigorous experience, that college experience, without having to do AP and IB, because I think sometimes the thought is that's the only way to earn college credit. Another example is another kind of fancy word, concurrent enrollment, where if students earn a C or higher in these classes, they essentially immediately get college credit, Normandale College credit, which is absolutely amazing and wonderful. And again, they don't have an AP designation or an IB designation, but we just really want to make sure that families know there are a lot of ways to look at different courses than our traditional AP and IB. Okay, segment 4, we're going to get into the actual English and social studies look at registration options. So this is the registration planner that your students will have. And again, it's also on the website with that little QR code. And this is to help guide them to understanding what they need to register for junior year. So the first thing that we're going to look at with them are their English options. And they do need to take a full year of English. And on their registration planner, they'll see that there's a semester 1 and a semester 2 of English 11. They can do English 11, or they can do IB English, Language and Literature, SL, or IB English Literature, HL, or if they're in special education or a multi-language learner, there's options there. Now, some students will ask, can I take English 11 semester 1, but do IB English semester 2? And unfortunately, you can't mix and match like that. It's one for the whole year. A lot of times students, this is where they're really starting to think, you know, do I want to head into an IB English route? And your English 10 teachers will be talking to your students, and students can certainly ask questions of their English 10 teacher to say, what do you think? Do you think English 11? Do you think IB English? What do you think would be a good fit? Now, the difference between these two IB classes, IB English HL is going to be more literature based, more reading of books, analyzing books, and I think they do like 6 or 7 novels in the year. Whereas IB English Language and Literature, they're going to be doing books as well, but they're also going to be analyzing the language, where they might look at different mediums of language. So not just books, but magazines, newspapers, internet, social media, those pieces to look at the language part of English. So those are two of the main differences with IB English Language and Literature. IB Literature, huge focus on reading books. Language and Lit, got some books, got some study of the language. English 11 is still going to be rigorous. It's going to still have literature components. It's also going to be covering kind of that 5-paragraph essay and writing and instruction and making sure that those skills are continuing to be built. So all 3 of them, you're going to find rigor in all 3. Social studies options in junior year is history, US history. And the 3 main options are US history, AP US history, and IB history. We have world history over here because sometimes when we have new students, they've already done their US history. So we just want to make sure, again, they're not forgotten about. Or if your student's an ML student, for their social studies. So a lot of times we get questions of what is the difference with these US histories. Regular US history is going to cover your general time frame of the beginnings to current US history, very linear, very segmented of what you're going to be covering. AP US history is essentially a college level course, and it's going to feel very collegey. It's gonna have lecture. It's gonna expect readings every night, note-taking every night, where you're doing quizzes and then you're taking the test and you have a few projects to do. So it's going to be very traditional from that standpoint. And you're going to be covering a lot of time frame information in AP US history. IB history is also college level and rigorous, The difference is IB history is not going to give you as much information, but it's going to go in depth of that information. So typically IB history might have 3 or 4 main themes that year in the spectrum of the United States history, but they're going to go in depth of those themes and spend a lot of time on that, and spend a lot of time in discussions, spend a lot of time in projects, readings. And so that's where it's going to feel different than AP US history. So I do hear students saying that it's much more discussion focused, project focused, at a very high rigor level. So those are your student selections for social studies into junior year. Segment 5 is our math and science segment. I do like my bright colored boxes, so I'm sorry if that kind of right there. So again, the options of math. Option 1 is where our students do the geometry, advanced algebra, pre-calc route. Option 2 is where they did geometry, perhaps intermediate algebra and advanced algebra, and then our advanced option. So they do need 3 years of math through advanced algebra. So on the registration course selection, you'll see all of the different math courses that are available. What we 1000% encourage students to do is to double check with their math teacher this month to say, which one do you think I should take? Just, just to have that second lens and set of eyes and ears on that, is to just be double checking with their math teacher on what to be registering for. The math teachers will likely talk about the different pathways into 11th and 12th grade of what they can take. So if they're going to be taking, let's just say, advanced algebra next year as a junior, then they could take pre-calc or statway as a senior. If they are taking geometry as a junior, then as a senior, they would take advanced algebra. So the math teachers will work with your students to kind of say, here's what we think you should do heading into junior year. And then for science, again, just to review the requirement, students need 1 year of biology, 1 year, a full year of chemistry or physics, and then 1 year of any science, which is often Science 9. And for junior year, it's going to be their biology year. And for some students who this year they're in IB chemistry, IB chemistry has a 3rd semester option if they would like to finish that out for junior year. Then they are also taking biology, so they're doubled up in science and chemistry. Not many, but we do have students that have that. And so their option for science for their biology requirement is biology or IB biology. And IB biology is actually can be a 2-year program. So their first year is in junior year and their second year is in senior year. And again, a very amazing course, rigorous course. And so if students really like science, they like biology, they like the study of things and dissections and labs and all that amazing stuff, they will really, really like IB biology. And biology also has amazing things in terms of the studies of plants and animals and cells and all that fun stuff. So biology is often a very fun year for our students. Segment 6, we're going to talk about electives. And on the back of the registration planner is this kind of busy page of electives. And it's broken out by art tech, business computer science, health and phy-ed, world language, English elective options, science elective options like engineering, social studies elective options like law and public policy, music. And so those are all the different electives that students can choose from. Now, a lot of times students and families will say, well, on that registration sheet, how many boxes do I need to have filled out, like checked, that I say I want to take? And so this is kind of a little hint of what that means. So if your student has checked off and registered for 14 semester-long classes, that essentially means they would have 7 classes semester 1, 7 classes semester 2. So that essentially means 0 study halls. If your student has registered for 13 semester-long classes, or they checked off 13 individual boxes, that means they would have 1 study hall for the year. 7 classes one semester and 6 the other. If your student registers for 12 classes or checked off boxes, that essentially means they're going to have 2 study halls for the year. Ideally, each semester, a study hall. So they have 6 classes semester 1 and 6 classes semester 2. And I do put a little bit of caution out there with that one, because we don't know when the classes are going to be offered. It can happen where perhaps the classes that they've chosen, all 7 are in first semester, while 5 are in second semester. So now their 2 study halls ended up in 1 semester. And we'll do our best to balance that out, but sometimes the classes just aren't offered in the semester we need them. So I do caution families with doing 12. Kind of the rite of passage into junior year, students are super, super excited to register for what they call a TA, or a student aid registration. And that's actually nothing they can register for right now. It's not part of the registration process. All a student aid is a study hall. So at the first week of each new semester, they learn where their study hall is, and then they fill out the application in the first or second week to be a TA for a teacher that they've talked with. And they actually receive an elective credit. They can receive an elective credit once towards graduation, and they do really like to do this. Our students can TA again in senior year. Sometimes they like that instead of just having a study hall, and they absolutely can do that. They just do not receive credit again for that. The other rite of passage that they always hope for are open hours. And this is something that I would say the majority of our questions regarding schedule changes, this is where they land, is open hours. Students want to have their study hall either first or seventh, because they can, with the permission of a family member, elect to drop their study hall or open it up, so they do not have to attend during their first hour or 7th hour study hall. So that is something that we really tell students, we can't adjust request to have an open first or 7th. It is truly luck of the draw of where the study hall lands. Some students want to have an open hour like 4th hour, but unfortunately open hours or study halls cannot be dropped if they have a class on either side of that study hall. So unfortunately, you know, we can't adjust for open hours. You know, a lot of times we hear I'm tired in the morning, or I might have to work, or I have sports. And the reality is our day is 8:25 until 3:15, and that is our school day. Our last count that we did, this was actually last year, that we probably had over 800 11th and 12th graders requesting to have open hours. That's how big it is. And unfortunately, we just can't accommodate that many students when our day is a 7-period day. For the elective registration, one thing that I really like to talk to students about, and this is what Mr. Gogolai referenced in terms of making really, really good decisions about electives. every year when we're in the classrooms and they start registering, it's friends looking at each other and saying, what should we take together? What should we do together? And what I really want to empower them with is they are now entering their upperclassmen years. And we kind of need to get out of kind of that middle school model of thinking of what should we take together. I heard this teacher wasn't really good, so we're not going to take one. Or I heard this teacher was really awesome. Or the name of the class sounds really interesting. The number of students that sign up for pottery because it sounds really neat is huge. And literally we have students that are like, they get in there, they're like, I don't want to get my hands dirty. And it's like, it's pottery. You're gonna get your hands dirty. Or they're like, oh, I'll just put anything down because I'll just change it. So that's kind of that middle school thinking. And we really want to transition them to be a prepared upperclassman and to think about, what is it that I'm interested in? What is it that I want to take? What do I want to explore? I've read the course description, not just the name, but I've actually read the course description, and it sounds interesting. That's registering as an upperclassman. And that's what we really make sure and say, this is what we need to be doing now. All right, segment 7, final segment. Again, I'm going to show this screen to your students again, because we always have questions about student aids. They love the idea. They're so excited to do this in junior year. So this is a big one for your upcoming juniors. And then again, I'm going to review with them how many boxes you need to have checked on your registration sheet. And when we go in to actually register, if it says, oh, I've registered for 13 classes, what does that mean? That means you're going to have a study hall. And then sometimes students will be like, well, I don't want to have a study hall. Okay, then we need to register for 14 classes. So making sure that they really understand that part. I'm a real big one on talking about academic sanity. And there's always the $1 million question of, is it better to get an A in regular class or a B, C, D in an advanced AP, IB, or honors classes? And colleges will undoubtedly say, take the most challenging course that you can be successful in. That does not translate to that you and your friend can be successful in. It's what you can be successful in. And it doesn't mean you have to take all AP or IB courses. Where students get in trouble is when they're registering for what their friends want to register for. They're not really thinking about what's best for them. They feel a lot of pressure to register for certain classes. And so I'm really about balance, because I believe our kids have all the brain power in the world to get done what they need to get done. But it's also what else is happening in their life right now, especially still being in the pandemic. What else is happening? There's different responsibilities that our kids are faced with. A lot of unknowns, a lot of anxieties, a lot of mental health, and just to make sure that they are balancing their 24-hour day with their course selection, especially as they're heading into junior year, because that's when we see students, if they're involved in activities, they're taking on more leadership roles, they're more involved, or now they're getting jobs, or they have more family responsibilities, and that all has to play into what does their registration look like for that. In the last few years, I kind of made a little list of what your students might have been up to. And, you know, I always get the, Ms. Cosgrove, you need to change the PS4 to PS5. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. But this is what they've been up to. And this is what's coming on their plate as well. And so to really be thinking about what's going on in their 24-hour life as they're coming into junior year, there's a lot coming more at them fast. So just to be really mindful that how do we balance everything out? And this is where it's really about balancing that puzzle and picking classes that offer you challenge, that offer rigor, that offer your interest, while balancing your health, your wellness, your sleep, and your me time. The first thing I see students dive into to find more time on the clock to add, we only got 24 hours and they're trying to add 25, 26, 27 hours. And the first thing I see go is sleep, where students give up their sleep to try and get everything done. So that's where it's just making sure that they're in balance and that they're in check from that standpoint. Ms. Elias and I are in English 10 classes on February 22nd and 23rd. We're going to be reviewing these slides with your student. They're also going to be hearing, I'm going to be doing, all the students are going to be getting videos of this next week. So they're going to be hearing me talk about this next week in their Park Connections. But on the 22nd and 23rd, they're also going to be receiving the transcripts and where they can also ask in-person questions. And that's when we're going to actually get into PowerSchool to start the registration process. And if they still need help, still need some extra questions, extra time, Ms. Elias, the following week, February 28th, March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, we will have drop-in times to ask any questions that you might have. So when we're in the classes, it's not like they have to have it done right there, but because if they have more questions, we absolutely want them to come and ask us those questions. And then when we do see them in their English class, we're actually going to have them log onto their PowerSchool screen and start entering their classes. And if they click submit on that day, they can still go back in and open it up. It's okay. I know they get nervous. Well, what if I hit submit and I can't go back in? You can absolutely go back in through March 4th and make any adjustments that need to happen. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to enable the chat now that I can see it. So if you have any questions that you would like to put in the chat, please put them in the chat. Chances are if you have the question, somebody else has the question as well. Otherwise, you are free to go and enjoy your evening. Thank you so much. So a couple of questions in the chat. Is the deadline to register on February 28th? No, that is not the deadline. That's actually the week that we start drop-in times when we're done in the classrooms. And we're also at the middle school as well, but that's the week that we start opening, if you want to come in for questions. So the deadline's actually that Friday, I think it's like March 4th. And Ms. Elias, who is on here, is currently the 10th grade counselor, the long-term sub for Ms. King. Great question about IB biology, because IB bio is a 2-year program, taking it in junior year and senior year. We absolutely have students that just want to take it for junior year because then they want to take physics in senior year. That can absolutely happen. Yes, great question.
Heidi, I don't know if you can see some of these, because I think I was directed, direct message. Will there be an info session for IB diploma?
Yeah, so that's gonna be with Ms. Case. She's offering kind of an overall enrichment session. So absolutely, she's gonna offer great information about the IB diploma. Yes. Yep. I also have a question of, will ICL be required for next year's ninth graders? My understanding it is. I haven't heard that it isn't. And that's a required ninth grade class for the ninth grade programming.
Has Alyssa Case said anything about the IB, when that will be? Is there a date?
Yeah, she had her enrichment times.
Okay.
That was up on one of my slides that she's going to be doing that.
Okay.
Yep.
That was another one.
Yep.
There's another one. There's another one here. Should the kids wait and not register until that day when they meet with you in class, or can they register anytime now?
So once we hit the button to open up the registration, they can absolutely start going in. Yep. If they feel like I know exactly what I want to take, I'm good. Yep, they can start going in and doing that. That is totally fine. I have another question. If the colleges say they want B's in your advanced classes, do B minuses count? Depends on the college. Some could be real sticklers in terms of saying, oh, that's a minus in there. I don't think so. But my experience being 12th grade counselor right now, especially with the pandemic, is in my 20 plus years, this is probably the last couple of years has been the most, what's the right word? Gracious that colleges have been with students right now, which is great. You know, in terms of which colleges, you know, schools will say they're not going to be hard lined of, oh no, it's a B minus, especially a school like the U of M, who will absolutely say they do a holistic look at the student. That they will take a look at, okay, well, what is the course? What is the history of the courses that you've taken in that area, to take a more look at it. So there, a lot of schools aren't going to be like this. Great question about study halls. That kind of the understanding of study halls is to take a break, to catch up on schoolwork. Is there a benefit to graduating without any study halls? So the transcript and the high school diploma will not delineate credits at all. It's not gonna, you're not gonna get a better diploma, a better transcript with more credits. I would say this year with seniors, I see a lot of students, even when they were juniors last year, a lot of students take 1 or 2 study halls. They either used it for getting caught up on work, or they just needed a break. They just needed a brain break in their day. So one of the questions is about PSEO in terms of how many credits can a student take. So if students go to some of the private schools like Bethel, they will have a set limit of how many credits a student can take at PSEO. If students going to like a U of M, a Normandale, an MCTC, they definitely leave it open. And that's more of what we'll talk about in the PSEO sessions, because it's typically, if a student is going to go full-time PSEO, meaning they don't take any classes here at the high school, we see them do anywhere between 12 and 14 PSEO credits. I think I'm through the questions. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Mr. Gogolai, do you have any questions on yours? Oh,
Let's
here we
see.
go.
there's one I have. It says academic enrichment video with Alyssa Case, enrichment coordinator, and
Sorry.
Karen Wheeler. Oh, no,
Sorry,
that's
Todd.
sorry. That's Sonia. Sorry,
So
that's all
there
right.
could be someone
Okay,
had
I
a
have one
question
here.
about the, the time of the IB information in AP, and it's February 16th, 17th, 22nd, and 23rd. So if the parent wanted to know the dates that those question and answer sessions were happening with Dr. Case.
I have another great question about a student that this year was doing an IB advanced class and then left for a regular class, and kind of wondering if that would hurt on college applications. And typically when I talk to my seniors, I might ask them, tell me why you left. If it's about, again, balance, life balance, if it's about taking care of yourself, if it's about making sure that you're going to be okay, that's what needs to happen. And so if a college were to ever say, well, why did you? That's what you would tell them. And before the pandemic, when I would go through rotations of seniors, I would see seniors coming into senior year, and they would be so burnt out. They would just be done. They just did so much, and they're coming into senior year going, I'm done. I can't do anything, or they're so burnt out as they're going through senior year that they're like, I got to take a year off from of what I'm going to do. They just get done. And so that's where I am such a proponent of balance in their 24-hour day, to preserve their desire and love of learning. The PSEO dates and times. Sonia, do you have that by chance? And I just lost my, I don't know what I did with my little thing here. I think I clicked out, but
Yeah, I have it up. I just took a
thanks.
find that specific slide. So there's March dates. Those are Wednesday the 2nd, Friday the 4th, Friday the 11th, and Friday, March 18th. And then there are April dates, April 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. And those are all Fridays.
Other questions? I kind of get teased in the counseling office that I'm the chit chatty counselor. So that I'm the yap talking counselor. So just otherwise, I will end our session. If there's no other questions, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for bearing with me. And I know this was a longer presentation, but thank you so much. Have a good night.